North Carolina, and traveled extensively on several college campuses across America, the Caribbean, and Africa. Other groups have invited for tribute seeking organization and college. Dr. Fred is one of the ones that had speaking about that. You won't hear me. I was two radio talk shows, both on radio seminar and talk around me. The first to teach African studies at North State University in Raleigh and was instrumental in developing the African American Studies program. He's founded the owner of the North Bookstore in Durham, North Carolina. It is the oldest African American bookstore in the state of North Carolina and the first in the history of the city of Durham. According to notice scholar Dr. C. Eric Lincoln, the local bookstore is an institution of unusual significance in the research primary diversity of knowledge and expertise is the number. There is a certain command of that knowledge in the charismatic style which reveals into every lesson. Following us on the comment that we stated about knowledge bridge. Bridges challenges the order with so many factors that we get ready to get challenged. As several of them aided for the library short after the questions and answer period. Besides his thorough wealth of knowledge, his delivery and style were both entertaining and personal. It was a very good role for all, and that was stated by James L. Reese, the assistant dean of Bates College in Lewiston, Maine. We're also going to say so many words, congratulations to Antonio P. for your work as a community civil rights leader in Durham, Carolina. This is by Beverly Purdue, who's the lieutenant governor of North Carolina at that time. Well, partially, of many counties, of that Oregon State University, Kansas State University, Tulane University, Washington State College, University of Delaware, Southern Illinois University, College of Development Corporation, University of Texas, Medical Branch, Colgate University, UNC Wimbledon, U.S. Coast Guard Academy, Washington University, and so forth. Will you read the science and National University of Science and Technology in Zimbabwe? So, all right. I also pay you to take those who have to pitch. Yes, sir. Congratulations so much again.
All right, welcome, you guys are coming out. Proud, you sparse, but the information you get ready to receive with my so we've compiled what we call a lecture series by kind of years. I think this is third lecture. Here we have 2 questions back. But that's some of the others we do. People you know, things. That's not going to stop us. This got a way of touching every one of those world and intellectual advancements. Uncover some of the philosophies that were done. So we will cover as much as we can. Today's topic is the origins of musical technology. And I don't have to say too much about that because Dr. Frick said so I hope everyone got a little snack and went to Wilson without any further ado. I like to put to my teacher, for another 40 years, and I have to credit him for Henry's Ward language. Because I was back before I was back. They weren't really so I found a bookstore. When I found that store, I found everything I needed to know. So I'm glad He's here with us. He's gonna be our guest lecturer on many occasions. He has a special, presentations. That we're gonna look at child center. But, some people would not know. See, just gotta keep going. As long as it's served, gotta keep going. So now to honorable Dr. Bruce.
Thank you very much, John. Yeah, hey, were you supposed to read something? Yeah, they did.
Oh,
I thought so. Wait.
we have a prayer that we try to do, in honor of our ancestors. And I think we all have a copy of, Brother Steele is going to read a line, and we got read this together.
Okay, I'm reading it to repeat me. So also our ancestors. Our ancestors, blacker than 1,000 midnights. After the ancestors, it is you that we, your children, give respect and honor. Our ancestors, we call upon you and welcome you in this place. After the ancestors, let your presence fill this place. Our ancestors, well, they're purposely excluded from the history books so that the world would not know of your greatness. All African ancestors who gave civilization to the world. All African ancestors who gave the arts to the world. Our ancestors who gave music to the world. Our ancestors who gave the sciences to the world. Our African ancestors who gave mathematics to the world. Our African ancestors who gave medicine to the world. Our African ancestors who gave literature to the world. Our African ancestors who gave philosophy to the world. Our African ancestors who gave God consciousness to the world. Our ancestors, we thank you for devoting your life to make a future for us, your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Now stand with us, strengthen us, guide us, teach us, and protect us from the snare of our enemies. Rise up, O African ancestors, and let our enemies be scattered, and give us the wisdom and the boldness to deal with our oppressors and those who would hinder the liberation and empowerment of our people. Rise up, O African ancestors, and live in us. And we will not fail to honor you. We will not fail to respect you. We will not fail to hear you. And we will not betray you. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe.
Thank you very much. Let's give another hand for that. All right, I want to thank all you for being here. And we won't worry about the size of the group. I was reading this morning, a brother sent me from Las Vegas, Nevada, a good friend of mine. I used to teach at a school in a little small town outside of Greensboro called Gibsonville, North Carolina. And there was a project at one time called Palmer Memorial Institute. And that Palmer Memorial Institute was started by a black woman from Warrenton, North Carolina, named Dr. Charlotte Hawkins Brown. And she died in about 1965. But the program, the property is still there. And the Muslim community from Durham, from Chicago, bought the property and started a school. What I want to make is, that school had about 5 students when it started. It didn't stay open. But the brother sent me some statistics about that Muslim Teachers College. But he said that school kept going. Chuck the question would have been okay. There was 5 students there without teaching. And they about 6 or 7 different professors. But he sent another piece of information to me about Harvard University. Harvard only started with 10 students in about 1642. Just to give you an idea, and those who are here, about how things can grow once you work. So when you look at something small in size, it does not have to remain small in size. So don't feel bad. I don't know. I enjoy teaching and get my information, and I understand how things work. And one of the lectures that I do, like I said, you don't have to have effect. A lot of things I can talk about. I'm going to get to the holidays, but one of the popular lectures that I do, and I want to talk to Alex about it and Mike Covington about it. And one of the first lectures I do, I do a series. One's called Human Beings First Study from the Natural Creation. And in that particular lecture series, I talk about how the Creator around us gave us signs and symbols and ideas that inspire our minds to create. As the brother said, we can create some mathematics, we can create arts, drama, science, technology, engineering. Everything that we see in this world today came originally from the heads of black men and black women who look just like me. So I want to make that point very clear. But it started because our minds from the very beginning were put in what I call the natural creation. And when I say the natural creation, before any books were written, the designer and architect of the universe created man and woman in Africa and put them in a classroom. The classroom wasn't a book like my book that you have here, but the classroom was out here. The classroom was the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets, the birds, the bees, the trees, the waters, the rivers, the lakes, insects, flowers, everything you see is what inspired the mind of human beings to do what it is that Brother just said in that introductory prayer that we did. Our minds had been inspired. And when our minds were inspired and we saw things, then we began to create from what we saw. As an example, we saw heavy objects falling from the sky, falling from the tree, like birds in the nest, or eggs falling, or apples falling off the tree. So after seeing those things happen constantly over and over, we said, heavy objects fall to the earth and light objects, and so it came over. We began to hear music around us. hearing the hummingbird hum and hearing birds sing. So we started to develop music. We heard the frog. And so then men started having bass voices like the frog. You see, we began to understand that when you see a whale in the ocean, that whale is what inspired human beings to create the submarine. When you see the elephant, that's where the tank came from. When you see the bird, that's where the elephant came from. Everything that you see, the natural creation, I mean, in this world today, came from the natural creation. We were inspired by our creators to do what it is that we did. So I always like to make that point clear, because sometimes we forget. Even Dr. George Washington Carver, great black American scientist, who did so much work with peanut. He didn't even want his students to be here in the classroom, like a room like this, wall. He said, no, these walls restrict you from learning. He said, let's meet outside in the woods. Let me show you the plants. And I'm going to talk to the plants and ask them about what products they can produce for men and women to make their lives better. And so he's talking to the plants, you see, because he recognized that the first book that was written was the natural creation. And then these books even came from the natural creation because the paper that it's printed on was called what? Papyrus plant, from which you get paper. And then you begin to write on that paper. When you saw the bird running his beak across his shoulder and lubricate his body, then you took the feathered bird and made a pen and put some flow, some dye inside so it would flow down and you write it. It all came from what was around us. Y'all with me? Okay, I'm just trying to just set the stage here for a few things. So we can't get big headed. Get big headed when I look at page 258, and look at the places I spoke. And the people I've moved from, like brothers in the back, from NC State University. You see, you can't get so big headed because it comes from the creator of the earth. That's what we must remember first. Give all praise and credit. And from that point, then we can begin to move. Now, one reason I want y'all to have my book, and if you don't already have it, you can purchase a copy, give it at the back, and go on purchase. But I'm going to go through some things in here because we're talking about African holiday. First of all, I just want to introduce you to this book. On the very front of the cover, you see it says, Recapturing the African Mind. That's the name of the series that's starting here at the Holla Building, Recapturing the African Mind. We, brothers and sisters, are out of our mind. We don't have our right mind. We have been told what to think, how to think, when to do this, when to do that, when to go forward, when to go back, when to turn right, when to turn left, when to buy Christmas trees, when to buy Easter bunnies. We've been taught when to buy checkers for Thanksgiving. You see, so my book is about recapping an African mind that talks about the fact that the Creator gave us the mind to think and make our own decisions, and we should not be guided by a society in which we live and to think the way that they want us to think. Use what God gave you, which is just above your shoulder. Are you all right? We have to understand it, you see. So we have to recapture the African mind. And open up the book, said on the very first page, if you open the book, it says, an examination of the what? Mental destruction of Africans and Americans throughout the world caused by Eurocentric religion and Eurocentric education. This is why, brothers and sisters, we don't have our mind. If they don't get us through the week in their schools, they get us on the weekend in their churches. But both of these two institutions deal with what goes into your mind. And this is how I came by writing this book. Because I noticed when I was teaching world civilization at St. Augustine's College in Raleigh, North Carolina, I noticed when I was looking at England, and France, and Germany, and Spain, and Portugal, and other European nations, and the United States of America. Wherever they went, they would always send 3 different groups to conquer and colonize the people. They would first of all send the missionaries, they would then send the merchants, and then finally, they would send the military. The missionaries, merchants, and the military. Let me get this together first. Tell y'all home ball too, by the way. You don't have my play shirt on. I just mind God that we. But I know now that's another lesson we call the 3 M's. Missionaries, merchants, and military have been a team of destruction against humanity. And I noticed that everything that I talked about in my class, wherever these white power structures went, the British, the French, the Spanish, the Portuguese, they were always sending the missionaries first to take control of your mind through the teaching at the church, and the missionaries would also be the ones to handle the school. And then after you got control of your mind, the next group they sent in were the merchants. The merchants were going into the earth, getting the gold of West Africa, the diamonds from South Africa, the uranium, the cobalt, the lithium that we use in batteries. They would go into the earth and take control of those resources, which would be very easy if you take control of the mind. If you know anything about or read about pimps and hustlers in the city, the first thing they do to take advantage of people, whether it's a pimp taking advantage of a woman, or whether it's a hustler or a con man on the street, they get control of your what? Your mind. And then after that, they can take anything they want. That's what they did. They sent in the missionaries to control our minds, the merchants to get the resources after they got our minds. And then if you think about getting out of hand, they got the military that puts you in check. The missionaries, merchants, and military have been a team of destruction against humanity. So by noticing that, let me do a little research, and that's what I did in this book. It came out of my research, and I saw that wherever European powers go, they always send those three programs that to take control of the minds of the people. And in chapter 1 of my book, I talk about the African mind and the natural creation, which I just talked about for a few minutes. That you can get it, later on. I just want to go through for a minute. And then in chapter 2, as I just did, I talked about missionaries as tools in the mind control of Africa, because the missionaries were basically controlled by the government they represented. And the Pope just passed, I might do this. Okay, chapter number 3. After the missionaries took control of our minds in Africa and America, they also manufactured us into slaves in America, which is chapter number 3. Slaves are not born. The human being is born to be free, to think, to reason, analyze, to do for himself or herself and to think. But they manufactured us in America by taking our minds through their schools and through their church. If you notice that chapter, I talk about horse training. I don't know how much y'all know about horses, but if you know about horses, they study the training of horses. And those that train a horse, you train a baby child in the same way you train a horse. And then chapter 4, I talk about the humanitarian movement. This particular chapter is about people who were calling themselves humanitarians, like giving us humanity, and they stopped the slave trade, the physical slave trade, but they took advantage of us mentally. So that's what the manufacturing humanitarian movement is about. Then I go on and talk about the early encounter, chapter 5. Then I talk about the effects of mind destruction in chapter 7 and 6. Y'all look at it later. And also for notice, I wrote some big print in this book on purpose, so you all can see it real easy. Now, the effects of mind destruction is where the Lord today is holiday. That's chapter 7, the effects of mind destruction. When we as African American people celebrate your holiday, These are the effects of our mind being destroyed by our trainers, our teachers in this society. That's why we do what we do. And on the back of the book, just flip over the back for a minute, the very top statement. And all these things I've seen myself. So it's not just made up. What does it say on the island of what? The maker where what? It's unheard of. People are sitting and still shows that cross Jack Frost slipped into the nose and I'm giving of the white person. Now think about it. Here you are in Jamaica, but the snow is unheard of, and you see some chestnuts roast on the open fire and Jack Frost nipping at your nose. That's because of the fact that the British who conquered the Carib Indians and brought slaves there taught them about British culture and British colonialism. So you can find something that doesn't even fit in an area like Jamaica, but that's what they think, because that's what they've been taught from children. You see. So I saw that in this, and then I'm going to talk about some other things. If you look at the third one, that's a very interesting one. In Nigeria, West Africa, one of the most popular cosmetic products sold is what? Skin lightening cream. That's right. And I saw that in Africa. So all these things make me quick to look at, and I began to see what the Europeans were doing, traveling around the world in the classroom. And then I went to Africa. I had the fortune to go to Africa with myself and two members of the Jackson 5 singing. A friend of mine was a mayor of a small town in the North Carolina called Green Ellis. He took a group of us, group of mayors from North Carolina. Mayor. He knew me because I was a teacher. So as we go, about 6 or 7 mayors in different towns in North Carolina, and 2 members of the Jackson 5. That's why when Chico Jackson died, y'all, they got drinking real hard. And so hung out together a whole lot in Nigeria. Chico Jackson and I Jackson 5, good brother too. Right? And which leads me to what I'm about to talk about. I was sitting beside Chico Jackson in a church in Nigeria, and the choir was singing in Nigeria. I'm sitting here, Chico is here, another brother beside us, and the choir is out here where you are. And all of a sudden, people started to sweat in the choir. This white stuff started to run down their faces. And Chico touched me and said, "What is that? What's that white stuff I see coming out?" I said, "Chico, that's that skin lightening cream that they use in their sweat, man. It's moisturizing, wetting their faces up." He said, "Why did you do that?" And then I started telling them about how the white people came among them, gave us this white image of Jesus, and told us that this is Jesus, the Son of God. And then we thought something was wrong with us because of our dark, black skin, so we wanted to be like him. So Chico asked me, he said, "Man, you know all this stuff." I said, "Well, you know, sing and dance, I'll do the doctor." But anyway, I just want to mention how I've seen all these things on the back of this book. And so I just want to mention, and that's what we're talking about now. African people and European holidays. First of all, I like to make it clear, because I'm still learning and still growing. I know some things now that I did not know when I wrote this book. First of all of us, brothers and sisters, did not come over here on the slave ships. Let me make that real clear. Now that's the narrative that they gave us. That's what they wanted us to think. They wanted us to believe that all of us came here in Jamestown, Virginia in 1619. We all know the story. But what they did not tell us is that many of us were already over here in America before the ships. And especially I can talk about that down here where I am, because we were here, but we weren't called Africans, and we weren't called primitive savages, but we were called Cherokee. We were called Choctaw. We were called Chickasaw. We were called Cree. We were called Dundee. We were called Tuscarora. We were called Waccamaw. We were called Washita, Yamasee. several different tribes living inside the black Native American black in this country before we came in on slavery. The ones that you saw on those rings with time cover, that's what they made in Hollywood. The ones that you saw on Gunsmoke, the ones that you saw on the Big Apple and Wagon Train, those are not what the original indigenous people of this particular part of the world look like. The original people of the United States of America, and not just the United States, but all over this world were black. And one reason they don't want us to understand this is because if you say that you are the original people of this earth, or this part of the earth, say the United States, the original people of America, what does that mean? I mean, this is their land. They owe us. They sold our land. But if you don't know that you have anything to do with ownership and being the first people here and settling and the indigenous people, the word indigenous comes from this way the word Indian from. Indigenous are first people or people look just like me. But if you can lay claim to that, like some black Indians did out of Oklahoma and black Wall Street and Tulsa, then you can take control. This is your land. So they don't want you to know that. They also do not want us to know, brothers and sisters, that England and Scotland and Wales were where you and I settled and originated and built those capitals. And the queen and kings of England, I won't get into today, no, that's for another time, have black blood like Queen Elizabeth and Prince Harry. That's the reason Prince Harry got that naughty red hair that you all see who married that Mark. You see, it's because of the black blood that goes all the way back to a brother by the name of Ferguson Moore. When black people settled that particular part of the earth. With all due respect to his brother Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm years ago in the movie Malcolm X, some of y'all might remember by Spike Lee. You remember out on the court, out on the yard where they were supposed to take an exercise. One of the prisoners talked about Dr. Malcolm. They said, you don't know where your name Elizabeth came from. And he told them that Malcolm, your name was the name of your slave master. Some of y'all remember that. Yeah. Now that's true to a certain extent, but many of us had his name before the slave master and before we were on this plantation. All of our name did not come from slave master. I know who I am. I'm down in Scotland County. Scotland County. I'm down here, Carthage. Where is Carthage? And actually got here named after the county seat in Moore County. Carthage is the county seat. Y'all probably know it better than me. Carthage, why Carthage? What can they buy? Think about that. Carthage is down here. Moore County. Who were the Moors? Who went into Spain and Portugal in the 8th century and built cities like Barcelona and Granada and Seville and taught Europeans how to bathe, taught them that the world was round. Already knew that the earth rotated on its axis at a speed of 1,037 1/3 miles per hour. And it was inclined to the plane of its orbit 23.5 degrees. We knew that. We knew about the geography. These are the Moors, Moore County. Where does it come from? McMahon, McKenna, MacArthur. Y'all know some people use McMahon. What does Mac mean? We've been taught that it's a Scottish name, and it is from Scotland. But we were in Scotland, and we were the originators of these names. Mac means son of, or descendant from. You see, and these were the names, some of the names we had before coming here. Because, as I said earlier, all of us did not come here on the stage, and we need to get that out of our mind. So I want to make it very clear. There's a book called The Western Islands of Scotland by a man named Martin, same name. But Martin, white man, in that book, he talks about when you go into those islands off the coast of Scotland, you find mostly dark-skinned people who inhabit those islands. And we came here and were sent here from Scotland, Ireland, Wales. Some of us went to Jamaica. Some went to Barbados. Some went to Montserrat. Some went to Trinidad and Cuba. All over those islands went and started plantations in this part of the world. And then Africans came, and so white people call all of us what? Africans. Now we do know that the humanity originated in Africa 3.5 to 4 billion years ago. We know that. But directly, we were already over here before coming here in the slave ships. We all came and mixed and mingled. This is why you read the stories about the Seminoles down in Florida. Those Seminoles left Florida and went over to Mexico, seeking freedom under the leadership of John Horse, a black Seminole Indian chief, and another man by the name of Wildcat, who led the black Seminoles down to Florida, down to Mexico, and their communities in Mexico now of dark-skinned people. And all of them don't look like these people coming over here working in the fields of America, the ones who Trump trying to send back. All of them don't look like that. They were black people because we were already here. So this is our history, and this is our culture. And the reason that we celebrate these holidays, I forgot this, is because this is what we were taught on the plantation and the system of racism called America. We were taught. Chestnuts roasting up the old fire, Jack Frost nipping at his nose, and I'm reading on the white Christmas. Now, what I want you all to do is turn to the chapter called The Effects of Mind Destruction on African People. And the first person finds that, okay, and then turn over to page 201. Right? Start on 190, right? But start over to page 201. And these are some of the things that affect our mind. Internalization of European traditions and holidays. Observation and experience of the daily activities of African people in America and also in other parts of the world show that they are indeed out of their mind. According to legal scientists, 500 years of constant propaganda, cultural exploitation, information distortion, and physical annihilation have left the African world shocked out of its own historical reality and purpose in the world. In the school and the church is where we lost our mind. And the preachers lead the church, and the teachers lead the school. No disrespect to them, because they were only teaching the slave master of everything. But with all the knowledge and information out here today, we can think for ourselves. You don't have to go along with what mom and dad and grandmom and grandpa went along with. That's the best they do. You can't blame them, because that's what they thought was what they had to go along with in order to survive in the plantation or in order to keep a job. I was thinking just yesterday, talking to a friend of mine about how when I was in school, I took French. Had to take some foreign language when I went to North Carolina Central University in Durham, North Carolina. I didn't do well in French, but it wasn't that I couldn't have done well, but I did not have any interest in the white man's language. I was coming through the 60s and having heard Stokely Carmichael and having heard H. Rap Brown and having heard Elvis Cleveland and Captain Cleveland and Dr. King and Malcolm X and Huey Lewis doing in California and Captain Cleveland and Bobby Hutton and Brother from Chicago. And so I said, why am I doing this? Why am I taking this? But had the teacher said to me that one day they may leave school and get a chance to travel outside the United States. And outside the United States, she had a backpack. She said, look at all those countries in Africa. They had a backpack and showed all those countries where black people spoke French. That would make me more interested in trying to learn that. If she had shown me Burkina Faso, has just shown me Togo and Benin and Guinea and Ivory Coast and Senegal and Niger and the Democratic Republic of Congo and Mali and Algeria, all these countries where they spoke French. And the reason they speak French is because the French had conquered and colonized them and gave them their language. The reason we celebrate these holidays is because we were given this by our oppressors. But had I been taught that, then I would say, I just jumped down and saw the cross. Let me learn a little more about ocean tree and Mardi Gras and all these French words. But I had no interest in it because I could not see where I fit into it. If I were to take a picture of this whole room right here, this afternoon, and then do it the old school way, take it in my dark room and develop that picture. And once I take the picture, I pass it around. Now, what's the first thing all of you would look for in that picture? Tell the truth. Think about it. When I gave you a picture that's developed of this class we have today in the Holla Center in Northern North Carolina, those who are tuning in to the podcast, this is where we are. Now, I pass that picture around. What's the first thing y'all gonna look for in the picture? Yourself. Where am I in the picture? I know I'm sitting in front of Alex Daniel. I might be sitting beside Sister Karima. I might be sitting beside Sister Yvette, or maybe Brother Bobby, or somebody, or Brother Ahmed, Brother Hassan. Where am I in the picture? And if you don't see yourself in the picture, are you really interested? Sometimes you go to somebody's house and they're not quite ready, y'all sort of going out together, going to dinner, going to the movie, going to play basketball, and they say, well, look, listen, I got to get the shower right. So look at the photograph album on the coffee table. Now, if you don't know anybody in that photograph album, you don't have no. Not at all. And this is what is happening to us as people. We have not shown ourselves on the page. We have been celebrating holidays and don't know where the hell we fit in those holidays. And look at page 203 that I talked about, page 202. Even start on January, page 202. January 1st. Do only two traditions. After people explain what? Happy New Year. On page 202, those who follow. And we make resolutions. And we say to all the praise of God and never brought to mind. We do all of it. But what makes it different? Is it really different? If I have on a suit, that means you look at my old suit and tell the difference. If January, how much difference is January 1st? Look out into the environment. How much difference is December 31st and January 1st? Same thing. The calendar has been tampered with, brothers and sisters. The earth takes on a new look and a new appearance around this time, around March, springtime, which was the first month in the ancient original calendar. January was added to the calendar, named after the two-headed god called Janus, Janus, whose head had one head looking into the future, another head looking into the past. And that's what January does. But you can't tell the difference between, if I got a new car, I better be able to tell the difference between that new car I have to pay for and an old car. If not, somebody you give my money back. So, you see, so we've been told that it's a new year. So we go around, Happy New Year. Sometimes it's Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's. Sometimes we go out all with this language. But I'm just saying, brothers and sisters, we haven't thought about the fact that, of course, is it really a new year? Or is it the same year? Or somebody tampering with the calendar? February 14th, after an African American school teacher instruct children, cut out arms. Y'all remember it? Design and red instruction paper. Cards and candies are prepared by the children. You see, we had to make, I remember taking that instruction paper and he folded it, I think, and he used the scissors and cut it. He opened up some water. That's all. So y'all know what we're talking about. We all get everywhere. You see, making us celebrate European holidays, celebrate their culture and their heritage. Now, if there's any history on Cupid, and Cupid was a Roman god, Cupid, the baby, Cupid, and Same thing, really sick. Cupid, do what? Say, I know you. What? And Cupid, I don't mean to bother you, but I'm really stressed. The thing gonna lose all the time and this. The city. Learn to sing all these songs, to cut these pictures out, all these things. This is going into our mind, brothers and sisters, and taking control of us. And it's all about what? Commercialism. If they can get you to begin to think like they want you to think, as you talk about the missionary, then they can go into your earth now, they can go into your pocket and maybe get cut stop if you go to your wife's house or back home or to your girlfriend's house or your boyfriend's house and don't have a bunch of candy, or you're in trouble. You're in trouble. Bro. I got roses. That's right. The roses. You gotta have something because that's what's been taught. And it's a self-check type of situation because if you don't do it, then the other person's got in their mind somewhere, they're gonna curse you out and do worse to you if you do not comply with Valentine's Day and all these holidays you do talk. Now, right or wrong. So it's a self-check situation. They get all of our minds, and then if you don't follow, then something's wrong with you. You're the enemy. Like Brother Sappy said, Brother Brown's coming in because they're gathering. Y'all, you wouldn't know, Mike, y'all enemies down here. But I think you and me talking, right? Enemy. When you come, I'm the enemy now. I gotta watch my try to get out of here. I know. I leave here. Because you're coming with truth. And whenever truth is on the scene, falsehood must vanish. They can't occupy the same space at the same time. Like that. No two artists can occupy the same space at the same time. So truth is on the scene today. We have to understand, and we won't have time to go to now. You do a 12 lecture on Valentine's Day, but we're not doing all that today because we're just talking about it in general. Then we're going to talk about Easter. Then in March, I think this is January, in March, and it's Valentine's Day again. February 14th. Month of February for Black folks should be celebrating what? Black History Month. That's right, Black History Month. Juneteenth, that's close though. But Black History Month. But we, February 14th, first of all, February is the shortest month of the year, 28 days. First half of 28, 14. So you stop halfway between your Black History celebration and then start celebrating Cupid with candy and low white diamond and bows and arrows. And then on the 15th, you go back to being black. You're wrong on the 14th with Cupid and Valentine's Day. Then on the 15th, you turn back black. Think about it, brothers and sisters. When you begin to know and understand the history, then you know what you should be celebrating. You know what you should not be celebrating. You know where to put your money, when you're spending and when not to spend and what you're spending on. And that's not what they want us to do. They want to take control of our minds, as we said before, in the churches and the schools. And then they can rob us. Then we go into March, St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day. I know who I am down here, Scotland County, and Morton County, and Anderson County, down here, Rockingham, Longford. This is the Scottish part of the country. But now, St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's was about St. Patrick getting rid of the black people up in Ireland. And he called those black people, he said to get rid of the snakes. But black people were called the swamp people. I don't have time to go into right now. Yeah, that's another thing. You bring you back. And the board up here and used to teach. But the swamp people, the black settlers of Ireland, wore crowns on their head that had snakes on those crowns, just like snakes worn from the crown of the ancient Egyptians in Egyptian society. And so the legend goes that St. Patrick ran out all the snakes out of Ireland. But it was really about us being destroyed by St. Patrick. And also those little Twa people, that's another lecture I've been called. In the beginning was the Twa. And the reason that's the lecture I'm working on now is because when you look at the Twa, about 4 feet tall from Africa, who came from one of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham had Cush, Mizraim, Canaan, and Phut. And these were his sons. And they populated the earth. Whenever you go around the earth, you find this little Twa, which I said in the beginning, populated the whole earth. These black people called the Twa. It's where you get the stories in Ireland with St. Patrick's Day of those leprechauns, the short people, and when you get the failures that we read about in our stories, in our novels, and when we read about the elves and the little small people, they talk all this stuff, talk about Twa. The woman that's stealing everything, making all that money, J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter. She talks about the little Twa. She doesn't call the Twa. The other man wrote those book, Lord of the Rings and all those, Tolkien, whatever his name was. That's right, that's right. But he talked about the hots. That's the small people. The elves of Santa Claus. Elves, E-L-V-E. That's the plural form of the word elf. And you take the F off, elf, you get elf. Elf is a standard of measurement in the British system of measurement called an L, which is about 3 to 4 feet tall. And that's what the height of the Twa were, 3 to 4 feet tall. That's why you can call the little people, the elves and the fairies and the pixies, because they inhabit all these lands around the world. Were the first people to leave Africa and go over into India and build great civilizations in India, like Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, and had fossil jointed pipes and hot and cold running water. That's how we see people from India today. Many of them don't like to recognize that some of them are darker than us with slick back hair. That's because they originated from the Twa that went there. And then when they left India, they went on further to the east and were the first people in China. And the first people in Japan and Korea, all those people did not look yellow like the ones that you see today. There were dark-skinned people like you and me who populated the earth. In the beginning was the Twa. The Twa who populated this earth. The Twa went everywhere. The original people of Hawaii, go on your phone, go on your computer, look it up. They didn't look like what we see today from Hawaii. The queen of Hawaii, who was dethroned under President Theodore Roosevelt, was a dark-skinned lady with thick wavy hair. You pull up on line, the queen of Hawaii looked nothing like these yellow people that we see today. In the beginning was the Twa. The Twa went everywhere and populated all 196 million, 940,000 square miles that we call this earth. They went everywhere. And that's what St. Patrick got rid of. And we celebrate St. Patrick's Day. And we wear green. Somebody has nerve. You don't have on green, like you have to do. Yeah. And I ain't about to do that. But that's what they were taught to do. And don't know why. And then after St. Patrick's Day, you leave that, and then we go into prayer. Well, we are now, don't we? Here comes Peter. Hopping down Bunny Trail, hippity hopping, each is on his way. We have no idea how the rabbit got into Easter. Since rabbits do not lay eggs. Of this nature, brothers and sisters, nobody ever taught us that the word Easter comes from a goddess called Eostra or Ishtar, and these goddesses were goddesses of spring. They were bringing in the new year, the new life, and bringing in new birth and fertility. And the bees started coming and started going in and out of the flowers and getting the pollen. All that's happening this time of year. Because it's time for the Oscar to come back to the earth. But nobody ever lets us know where it came from. But it came from people studying the natural creation. Because this particular time of year, the days begin to get longer, don't they? They get long. And that's why even before Easter, we go into a period called what? Lent. The season of Lent in church. Lent, L-E-N-T. If you take that T off Lent and put an S for that T word, what you get? Then, a lens in your glasses, or lens in your telescope, or lens in your microscope. It makes things bigger, things longer. Lengthen. The days are beginning to get longer, so people recognize that they're talking about length. Coming out of Mardi Gras in Louisiana, which is another story. But as the days begin to get longer, and then to commercialize off the Oscar, they put the rabbit into Easter because the rabbit, really the hare, because the rabbit is a very fertile creature. Y'all who know that nobody has more babies than what? Rabbits have a lot of babies. Fertility, symbol of fertility. Take a look at the new clothes on Sunday. I don't know when I was growing up, I think you got knowledge now. But when I used to grow up, I didn't want to go to church unless I had a new suit. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. You know that too, right? Now, I don't think people listen to that as much now. I really don't know. It's asking, but not as much. I had to have a new suit. And most people don't even want to go to church unless they got something new. And most of them haven't been to church the whole year. But on Easter, the pews are full, right, Ron?
Right.
That's right. Because the Savior has arisen. What really arose? Not the Savior, but the Son has arose. Because it was dead in the wintertime, the days were shorter, the nights were longer, the weather was colder, the weather was snowy, the weather was blizzardly and wind and rain, but then in the winter, when it began to change, the Oscar is here. So we cannot greet the Oscar without a new suit, without a new dress. And I remember the sisters in the Wales slipped on the dress and stick out called printable slip. Y'all remember that word? Printable slip. The another shoe. Had to have it all. There's the commercialism again, huh? Not only can you go and worship God, but you got to have it. I mean, the merchants downtown are going to make money again. So all these holidays, brothers and sisters, and the reason they have us tied up into these holidays I'm talking about there is because of money. It's commercialism. And if you begin to think for yourself and say, no, I'm not spending no money. I'm going to get to it in a minute on Christmas trees. I'm not spending money on decorations. I'm not spending money for you to have something just for one day. No, I'm not doing it. They won't survive. So in order for this system to thrive and survive, they have to control the minds of the people. And that's why we must recapture our minds. And when we get out, that's why they don't want us to read books like this and to know what's going on. They don't want us to understand that the Easter egg is symbolic of great children. And that egg, when it looks like it's dead, but all of a sudden, that baby chick bursts out. So they put baby chicks in Easter, put eggs in Easter. And not only that, but they put the eggs on the straw in the basket, huh? And the straw is green. Green is a symbol of fertility. Newness. They said, you look green right now. But it's kind of new. Not what's the word? Not quite red. Yeah. So green straw for fertility for newness. With the eggs on top of it. And the eggs and the green straw are in the what? The basket. The basket. What is the basket symbolic of? The female womb. Tell you something, y'all never heard this before. I know. The womb of the female is what the basket is symbolic of. That's why you got eggs in the basket. And on Easter, in Europe, European women would get naked and run out into the field Birds and women run out in the field, and the men would go chasing. And that was the Easter egg hunt. Come on, Holla. I'm giving it to you now. They hunt these eggs. And all that's tied up with the basket, and the straw, and the eggs, and the rabbit. And Easter bonnet, it looks like the sun, it has lilies around it, lilies become popular. All this is called new life and rebirth. That's what Easter is all about. I did a lecture years ago called Easter Exposure. Now, going for all this stuff, you see, we're talking about the holidays today. And so this is why we got it, and everyone we're talking about is about going in here. Everyone that we're talking about is about spending money. And when you start to wake up and spend your money where you want to spend it, and when you want to spend it, then the society does not like that. They cannot operate like that. You have to be ignorant. That's a better word, not calling you ignorant, but you have to not know what's going on in order to spend your money. So that's the Easter egg hunt, the Easter bunny, and the baby chick, and the Easter rabbit, and the Ostre, E-O-S-T-R-E. That's where you get the word Easter from, the Ostre. And that word Eostre, when you look at it, is also where you get the word that the female had in her body. Estrogen. Estrogen. That's all the stuff came from. This is, which I always like to talk about, another thing that people can do when you're trying to study and trying to learn. Word order. Study words. Find out the root of the word, the origin of the word, the beginning of the word, where it comes from. Land, Easter, Easter, you see. What's up, and how it's all relate. Then it tells you a whole lot about what's really going on. More kind, the Moors, the black people, the settlers, Spain and Portugal, and went into France and Germany, and also went into the British Isles. These Moors people who were taught in the beginning, then they became Moors, another story. But anyway, when you begin to study this, you find out that's what happened. So Easter, then after Easter, what's our next holiday in America? What's our after Easter? Which one then after Easter? I didn't put up there, I forgot. Okay, but anyway, July 4th. Now, July 4th. When I was teaching. Okay. Now, first of all, let's look at the history behind it. Let's look at the dates. July 4th, 1776, 75, 75 is the 4th of July, when America became independent from Britain. 1775, 1776. Think about it for a minute, man. Where were you and I in 1775, 1776? It's on the plantation, right? Still working. Matter of fact, the United States Proclamation was not signed in 1863, 1865, so that's about 100 years later. So when they talk about cracking about being independent, what you doing buying sparkling and firecrackers and cherry bomb for you on the plantation? Why are you buying those things? You're not independent. You working for them on that plantation. They're celebrating their independence from that colonizer called Great Britain. But you're on the plantation. But the slaves are following the slave master. That's all we're doing. We're following what they're doing and not talking about the fact, hey, wait, why am I doing this? I'm not involved in this. That's your thing, it ain't mine. You know, it's your thing. Do what you want to do. You know, I can't tell you something. It's your thing. You know? But it's real simple on that July 4th. We were slaves on the plantation. And then after we leave July the 4th, we go on down and we end up with the next holiday is Halloween. That's another Halloween. What they're doing in Halloween is scaring away the wintertime for the wintertime is coming in. Seasons begin to change. All these holidays are about changing the season, changing climate, changing environment, changing temperature. And so people put on masks and other scary clothing to scare away winter. because they saw the season change. And winter was about to come in October. November, Halloween takes place, October, November. Okay, and so winter was coming in, so they began to try to stay away from winter. They loved the summer, they loved the heat, and loved the growth and fertility and newness and rebirth and new life. So they didn't want to let go. So they tried to stay away from winter. And so that's where Halloween and math and those kind of things came from up in Europe. And we picked it up over here on the plantation. All this stuff, we picked it up from them. And it had nothing at all, in most cases, to do with us. We just going along with what we had been taught in school. And y'all remember too, in Halloween, I think bonfire days, those fires were so that it would survive the sun. Because the sun was leaving, you see. And then after Halloween and stuff in November, Thanksgiving. In my class years ago, I used to say, will the real church please stand up? Now, let's look at our dates again. The first Thanksgiving in the United States, and this is why, brothers, history is important. What they're doing here in Holla is important. Learning your history, learning your culture, learning your heritage, be a God. You should come out and tell about the legends because it will help you. Because when you look at Halloween, as we just talked about for a minute, and then you go into Thanksgiving, 1621 was the first Thanksgiving in this country. Slaves came in 1619. Now you do the math. Where you think you were 2 years later, where you on the plantation with white folk, having cranberry sauce and turkey, sweet potato pie, those were not. You see, because of the fact that we were slaves at the time, just like during the 4th of July. See, Thanksgiving was not our holiday. And yes, people. And why somebody got to tell me we buy turkey? I'm like, why not want turkey on that day? I'm like, we'll have turkey 2 months from now, whatever. You see, but there again, it's about what? It's commercialism. It's about the money. You see, and us idolize what? The Pilgrim Fathers coming to America, searching for a new land, stole land from your amount of people, the native people of this country, stole the land. We taught them how to farm, taught them how to harvest, taught them how to plant crops, everything. But then look how they treated us. And we got to celebrate Thanksgiving with these white folks, the way they treated us on that plantation. No. You know, I mean, I'm not saying you have a dinner and enjoy yourself, but please understand that this is not your holiday. Thank you. Okay. If we get back up to the schedule, because it's my time. And then the big one of all time. Christmas, just say Christmas, without one love. Christmas, December 25th. If somebody would have asked the question, where the 25th birthday come from? There's nowhere in the Bible, nowhere in the Bible. But it's a design. December 21st is the first day of the winter solstice. SOLSTIC. The first day of the winter solstice. Sol means sun, and stis comes from another word, that word, that means standing still. Around the time of the solstice, it seems like the sun is standing still because the days are so short and the nights are so long. During that time of year, you all know. So it takes the sun a long time to come back up. So the sun seems to be standing still. But on December 25th, the days began to get noticeably longer. So they said, what? The sun is born. Somebody took the U out of the sun and put an O in the place of the U and said that it's talking about the Son of God. But there's no way that you can prove that December 25th in the Bible, but you can prove that the days get noticeably longer on December 25th in the science book. So we have been taught. We're going about the deeds, about what we've been taught. We really have a question and analyze what it is that we've been taught. But that's where Christmas comes in, during the winter solstice. And then when we look at it, it's about the sun, because what's the wreath look like? It's round, with a light in the middle. That's the sun. You see, that's the sun. And then they put Santa Claus on there, and then by the Thomas Nash of cartoons. broke Santa Claus into the program, giving toys. That's where that comes in. You know, go again. That's about why everything here, brothers, it's about us in the pot. You see. So you got Christians on the 12, then you got and then you got the mistletoe, light, because they will get around the sun is back. So we took lights on the sun. Sun is a great light. 803,000 miles back, the sun, big old sun, bright like that we have. See, so we put lights on the street or in honor of the sun. We put a light in the middle of the week in honor of the sun. You see, when you see street lights, some of us so lit up, you lit up on the street sometimes around that time of year. We lit up, we lit up, everything is about lights. You see. So anyway, it's all about lights, all about honoring the light that we have been given at this particular time of year. But we have to take advantage of because we can believe in this, and we'll go along the program, spend all our money, and then we won't have anything. It'll all be gone. So, hope you got something out of there. Say thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I take questions and comments. Thank you. We'll back. Go ahead. Thank you very much for this. Hope y'all got something out of there. Say learn something. Thank you. Thank you. Tell us your feelings about it. And in my book, now I'm going to go into a lot. And I think my book, I talk about, and I just had to think about the horse training. These stories we taught a long time ago, like Black Beauty. We were taught Black Beauty was about what? A horse, but it wasn't. I talk about it. Black Beauty was about training black folks in being slaves. And when you study it, you find out that's the case. But they couldn't tell us that because then that might wake us up. The lady who wrote it was an abolitionist who was against slavery, and she talked about the system of slavery and the way it formed a story through Black Beauty, you see. So a lot of these things like Ale, Black Beauty, and a lot of things we studied is really about us, but we don't know the history. And we can't even see it. Almost like God turned this one here into a mirror. Now put this mirror in front of brother's face right here and say, show me you. And you don't even know it's him. That's what happened in our history. Somebody can show us the story of Black Beauty. They can show us about elves at Christmas time. They can show us about fairies. But if we don't know history, we don't know it. We look at ourselves. When we hear they talk about Harry Potter, we don't know she stole the name Harry Potter. They named the first magician in this country, a black man named Richard Potter. You look it up, Richard Potter, the first magician and ventriloquist in this country, named Richard Potter. And what's Harry Potter in the story of what? Magician. That's right. But she named, oh no, I got to come up with no, they're gonna lie. They're gonna lie. But that's just figuring out how you know what it is. Yeah. And any questions about it? And by the way, book just $20 and autograph when you keep it got not back in. But that's what they're talking more about it. Like I said, it's pretty easy, really big print. People like I have bad eyes. So that's like that big print that got to go more and more. And it's more around the world. I'm going to talk about how this happened in America, like we're talking about today. I talk about the Burkina Faso, in Kenya, in Nigeria, and other parts of Africa, and as well in Jamaica and Ireland, somehow European people, white people have taken this mindset that they have themselves and spread it among all people all the way around the globe. We just talking about America today, but they've done the same thing all around the globe. I was reading about the island of Montserrat, and the island of Montserrat. Black people were there who came there from Scotland. They drinking in Scotland. They didn't stop. But that's the Scottish beer. So they spread that whole culture all the way around the globe. You see, the traditions, the customs, the ways to do it, and we just dive into it because that's the best. If we don't know anything. You see. But they never want to start asking questions. But use your mind, God gave us for. Ask questions, to make our own decisions, and to love and think about ourselves. Any questions? Let's just go right back in. Number one, I appreciate it. Okay, thank you, brother. Man, I want to always think that information for you. It will not be all that time. If that man, if that's the first time, we're not last. Won't be last. Okay, and it's a premium to someone that program, right, more people for you.
So definitely work on that, you know, when you find out the date, you know, where you're gonna that.
You have them out.
About that.
Go there.
Go up, you can't get rid of that. So I'm like, we spoke last Saturday, we was about something to drive. It was happening with the same day, I had a feeling of, that we didn't, but anyway, and as we were sharing, about that Wednesday, I had 3 other invites for different places in Monroe, Louisiana, but I was curious because as we, them and I communicated, he spoke some things about what he was all about, and some of the things I have learned here about. And since two most of our churches now try to what I call European or either white supremacy ideology, right here. And because of what you have stated is the reason why most of our people have become in the consequence of lacking of
No doubt.
and so, and we want to thank you for taking time to come down and to emphasize on that. When you don't know, you just play it good.
You just don't know. And I know, and you know, Sister mentioned too. I often think about it because, you know, as you live, you can learn more. Like I said, I even know more than I did when I wrote this book. If I think about this being shot in Canada, I'm watching in mind. But we were really who took the backpacks of the South. Black people took the backpacks of the South. We took the kilts and the Kelly Bros, the shoes, and all that. You see, but they've taken that because if you begin to know that you start to lay claim on what souls are. When you know that, when you know, boy, I gotta do that. That's how I used to say before we came out. I gotta do no friends, shopping. No, I can't go sit back. I don't know. You just treatment. They don't want us to lay claim to what was originally ours and to understand that it's our estate, our real estate, our land, our countries around this earth, it all belongs to us. We are not aliens to any part of the world. It belongs to us. And they don't want us to know all of it. That's right, brother. You didn't want the camera, I see the camera turn over there. It's all right. Okay, go ahead. So, yeah, question, man. What page you on? So I'm gonna turn this back for you.
I'm at page 205.
205. Okay, let's see. Go ahead, I'm listening to you. What's the question?
So I would like to know what is the difference between the Christmas celebration and the non-destruction?
What is the difference between
The Christmas celebration and non-destruction.
also, the Christmas celebration is a part of my destruction. Our mind was destroyed by making us to celebrate Christmas and to spend our money and to go against our culture and our heritage, because that's not our culture and our heritage. So our minds were destroyed first, and then once our minds are destroyed, then we'll go and buy the tree. And what gets me to in the Bible, Jeremiah 10, verses 3 through 5. Any man who will go, it's not exactly, to the forest and chop down the tree and fasten it with silver and gold, that is the way of the heathen and not the way of the law. It says in the Bible, Jeremiah 10, verses 3 through 5, says the same thing. So my point is, brother, our minds were destroyed by making us to believe in Santa Claus and blow off red nose reindeer. I can remember when my mother and I was growing up didn't have enough money to buy a Christmas tree, and all the Christmas would know a real Christmas tree right across the street where I lived. That was the woods. And I went over to the woods there, got a little pine tree about this tall. And took my little hatchet and cut it down, brought it back in the house, so we had a Merry Christmas. I got a mind. I didn't know I should have done it all. But I'm just saying, as I go back and think about things, I can see how we really operating out of somebody else's mindset as opposed to our own. We are out of our minds. Some people might say, well, what do you mean out of our minds? If you don't have your mind is not in you, then you're out of your mind. And when you, to show you how important the mind is, when a person becomes, have dementia or the mind is gone and they're deteriorating and the mind is gone, they take them out of the kingdom of man and put them in the plant kingdom and they call them what? Bring a vegetable. That's right. You're out of the kingdom of man now, you're the vegetable kingdom. Because your mind is gone. The mind is the most important thing, you see. And I think about that, I think about Brother Jack Wilson. Y'all remember Jack Wilson? Remember Jack Wilson? Mind was gone without the vegetable. All that Norman Chip Rocks he did, and Danny Boy, all those groups, songs, those Jack Wilson had. Well, Jack was working for a big part up there in Cherryville, New Jersey, had a stroke on the stage. He went to the hospital and they say once his mind was he's a vegetable now. And they eventually pulled the what? Pulled the plug. You see, so the mind is what the human being has that's above everything else. And if God gave you a mind, you ought to use it. Any other person in common? Yes, sir.
Could you elaborate on you said the walls restrict you from learning? I looked it up.
What the 100%
Walls. Restrict you from learning. I looked it up. I was speaking. It also said declaration.
Okay.
Distract. And I work in the public school system, and
Oh, so you know what?
those dots started to connect.
And you know what? You're right. And the public school system tried to start out. I'm going to central, and this is what children we got out of our mind. I was in the history department, something in the classroom building. You know where it is? NCCU. I went in the building one day and around in the first semester time for school to get out for Christmas. And on the wall in the history department, they had Frosty the Snowman. In the history department, the department that deals with origin, beginnings, growth, and development of society and the work, the history department had a picture of Frosty the Snowman. But even with the history that we had, we still have our minds on lockdown because we haven't had the right history to make us wake up. Because the history department should be the last place that you will see Santa Claus and things, because they should know the history of it. They should know it comes from paganism. They should know about the solstice and the rising of the sun, the setting of the sun. They should know all this. But the system has us so indoctrinated that we can't get away from it, even without education. But like in the school system, they have it. That's a good point. Now, number two, what I'm talking about the construction paper with the heart. Did y'all remember this? When you take the construction paper, put your hand down, you I don't know, just make that turn out. Right. With a real turn piece there. So all this is part of the documentation, and all this is why all my life I've always tried to recap the African mind. I didn't call it that, but I'm saying I've always taught people how to think and want to learn how to think. That I knew something was wrong with the system. And then when you begin to question it, you begin to see so many other things. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't think it had anything to do with that or making the days long. Then when you look at the word, then vein, microscope, telescope, glass, 2020. So you start putting things together, and then you begin to see it. And we live in a society where our controllers and manipulators do not want us to see that. They really don't. Yes, sir. That's why they want, they like the little, y'all try to get big again, get more people coming in. So watch out. So they don't want too many people to start thinking. Not at all. Yes, sir, Matt.
Yes, sir. I'm going to talk about this. Also, when you think about, like, let's say, you church, lands, something like that. You start speaking the truth, you got now, you go up, they start going.
Oh, brother, I can say this story. See, that's why I don't have a question answer yet, but we're thinking about another thing. But you become out. I'll never forget when I was with which one I started the book, but when I was teaching NCCU. At the end of the first semester, like I just said, as y'all well know, that's when students begin to take the exam and get out of Christmas. So I was teaching class in the geography. And so I said, rather than stay in the textbook, let me give them something to go home with to make them think about it. So since I was teaching geography, I started talking to them about climate, and change the season, and how the Christmas tree, that they didn't know where the Christmas tree came from, but you don't put the tree up, somebody said where it came from, you don't know. The Christmas tree is a German origin, by the way, came from Germany, that we learned from the Germans over here. But anyway, so I started going into Christmas. And I said, I hope y'all have a nice vacation. So I went to the office, sat down in the office, phone rang, before cell phone. I picked the phone up. My chairman said, Dr. Fish, come down to the office. I said, yes, sir. I'm going to hung the phone up, closed the door behind him, went in his office. He kept his office open because he had open no house. So this is his desk right here. He's right here. So I went in the door to close the door behind him. So I closed the door. So what's happening? I closed the door, then sat down in a little chair here on his desk. He said, you know, one of your students just left my office and told me that you said that 25th birthday was made up and that talk about the birthday of the son. So you told the class that the Christmas tree is a German origin and that did you see you, so don't you know when Fisher told the kids what the root for Christmas was, what you know about Christmas? You learned that on the planet. He said, did you say all that? I said, yes, sir. And so I said, whoa, that's my mother story. And then I never forget. So he said, you are teaching too much. Going back to your question was, I said, you're teaching too much. And then, when June came, because the contract was here, time for a contract to read, when school was closed in June, I made it through the next semester, but when June came, we don't have no money, we can't have that. That was it. And I didn't know at the time, I believe you. But then as I think back on it, some other people told me, they said they thought that I was teaching too much. So this information that I'm giving you now, you have to be careful with who you share it with, when you share it, how you know share it, and all of that. That's one case. Another case, when I wrote the school, I went to a publisher in Apex, North Carolina, with the manuscript, what was the book? And that's what the man, he said, oh yeah, we'll print it for you. So I could call tomorrow and let you know how much it will be and so and so. So he called me the next day. I answered the phone. He told me who he was. I said, oh yeah, Barbara, how much is my book going to be? He said, I'm sorry to tell you. Now listen very carefully, this is what he told me. And when you all read my book, you all get a copy. He said to me, he said, I have read your introduction and I have read your preface, and we will not be printing your book. I said, I'm going to get 1,000 copies. You know, in a print press, that's nice size piece of money, 1,000 copies of the book. And that's about 15 so $1 piece or whatever. I didn't pay for it. They didn't want to print. So I read your preface, I read the introduction, and we will not be printing your book. But however, I think somebody might print my print. He did not close in it, even with the money. He still didn't want this information to get out. So going back to what you said, brother, This is how things happen. I started that study program in NC State University, rather than walking around, put it up online, NC State University after the park. I can't get a job. The people were there now wouldn't have a job and wouldn't be working if I hadn't started talking. The president of the school years ago saw me on television Black History Month. And asked me to come there and course and after study. And I did, got real popular, new students and everything. But then later on, they kind of eased. So stuff happens to you. As they say, stuff happens. This is when you have to turn out. You got to be prepared for obstacles, be prepared for people to come against you, to speak against you, not to hire you, not to want you around. They don't want. And I got a lot of stories. I'm sorry. After this last one. And a friend of mine talked to me last night that we gave a party at our house. We won the same basketball team. And he was playing, I guess, the oldest records, first say, good music. And I had this guy named Bob Marley, and reggae music. And reggae music was talking about, consciousness, waking up and learning and emancipating yourself and understanding. Bob Marley, the different song, the background system, all these songs waking up. I told him at the party, started playing reggae. He's damn me that about the day. Man, we started putting the reggae on everybody left the party. You put it on fire. You turn it on fire. They work for me. This one, this small, I just felt like it's one of this small finish and be praying first day, third day. I said, because I was trying to wake people up. So whenever you try to wake people up, you get this kind of knowledge right here in your head. You got a lot of things down. I can make the wife me. I can make the little me. I can make the girl me. It happens, I'm telling you, girl. One more thing, I got a lot of you. I know I was taking a sister one time when I was a second semester college, and I showed up at the house on Valentine's night, gathering. They didn't have a car, no mechanic, no road, no nothing. What you talking about? That's not beginning to learn about drugs. And the drug doesn't have to be the heroin and shooting your arm. It doesn't have to be crack cocaine. So, but the drug can be in your mind. She was so much under the drug of Valentine's Day. She started having withdrawals. Now I come there without, oh man. I'll never forget. So, like I said, you should have that for so whenever you get this kind of knowledge, you start to know things, you're going to have a lot of friends, wife, children, classmates, the dog, the dog.
Which you're absolutely right. When you say people who distance themselves from you by conversations that you have about importance of themselves. I'm not a political active person, but I do consult with politicians. And when I consult with politicians, I said, you're never going to put the grass on anything until you discover what happened to you and to your community. How it happened, when it happened, and the circumstances that we were under. Until you do that, you kind fall right into the system of love. Because you can't leave. You can't leave. So I'm going to continue to talk to my constituents and encourage them to know do anything else. Learn to know thyself. Right. You don't do anything else, and you're not going to accomplish anything until you do know thyself. And now it's great to speak. So, it's a pleasure having you here, Doc. Thank you very much.
And everybody was here. Tell somebody about it. Next time, you got to start a series.
But the city's already started, we did it 3 times. There's a donation, if you have any, $10, we gotta get some gas. We'll get back to them. And I'm also, you're gonna run it all out.
And my book is $20 now. I'm gonna wrap it if you want to get it. And also, this is one of the best gift you can get. Get one for yourself and build.
And I also encourage, to spread the word about this place. All right. The gentleman over here, the young man over here, I've had the pleasure of working with, Southern Night for the last, I guess, more than 10 years.
From 7 to 9.
Yeah, Southern Night came into this program. He was confused. He was determined to do things his way, and always was. Today, the night is developing into a studious, man, making a plan for the future. So we have a mentoring program called Rise Back. But most people think mentoring is just come in here and give them a speech and go home. Mentoring is keeping up with their daily life activity. Going to the house, buying out their food, yada, yada, yada. That's mentoring. So the type of mentoring that we have in our community is we will make a motivation speech. But we probably have a few more out here, like, we all we got a tennis program out there.
Oh, yeah, you work with
The American Tennis Association was founded in 1914. Right out of slavery. And we were making strides, man. So I had no doubt about that. Before we joined.
it always works. Come on. You gotta think about hockey.
You know, that's too long for it. John Lewis is still with the old American Center and basketball. So anyway,
Thank you. It's just a bus.
there's also the deterrent. You know what the deterrent is sometimes for young people to avoid incarceration. Still here is the entire profession of the correctional system in New York. Yes.
I'm about to ask you about your,
So he has converted an old bus into a prison museum with photographs and exhibits. It's something we're going to be very busy around here. We're going to be very, very busy around here. The people who know. And some people ignore it, but the resources are here. Resources are here. So, anyway, thank you once again. And good.
Glad to be here, learn a lot right here. Even though we're talking about Christmas, if you take Santa Claus, you switch them letters around, and Santa means Satan.
That's right.
Satan. You know, they're saying he knows between bad and good. Because he's watching, just like God is watching. He watches too.
The strategy of most blacks in the early 1900s, 1800s felt like they were going to the middle Right. That was the cliche. Really going with that, with all the World War from just had infield. It's amazing how they strategize things and put it advertising for the yard to be dead. Right, and they use all the strategy to beat in, and to become. Then when we come back home in most states, there's those guys that Korea and Vietnam conflict, what they all have even when they came back to their own city. And then on the other hand, there is so much money being made in the war conflict during the time, and they trying to make it the internet people while we got to fight it. That's the same thing with Jeff, it was us, they my side of the family, their side, he coming in over from Africa. On my mom's side, was, they're from Africa. So we got a chance to research and do. My friends and brothers, it's a long path. The more your family is educated about where they come from and how they come from, much further you push them up the road. We are in a set of program today. We are in the University of Michigan, studying the family, the whole economic benefit, the whole thing of it. We are right now, as I have been told, one of the largest families, along with the longest family that has been in the study. And the lady asked me, which house I share with her, we teach our family. Because where you come from should not interfere, but motivate the entity to which you are in. Just because fathers came from slavery, don't have a slave mentality. So if you get all you get whatnot. So the union is enough. Please let them remember that comes there. The one thing they want to do is eat and drink and whatnot. Put more education on the platform. Because it's amazing what it will risk your family. But our family, we got those who multiply the community. We got about 14 different attorneys along with doctors in our family now because we understand where they are. They love it. So, and I'm saying, love it. They work it.
Again, if anybody wants to take some trash food with you, soon or whatever it is over there, we don't want. We want y'all to take home somewhere. Look like if you have shake these head. You don't know about it.
Thank you, Reverend. Hope that I think we're going. Yeah.
It's Juneteenth.
Yeah, but man, deal, we got here at the Holla Center more than y'all think we pull up the fight now. And he get a lot of
Tuesday, right? Tuesday. Hey man, I'll be back on Tuesday.
yes, we'll stay here.
Yeah, a lot of information.
Y'all be like, oh, you used to be mine. Take it.
You might wake up, like you said, just like you said, you wake up, husband,
When you go learn,
just if you're honest, you know that. That's it. Capturing the African mind. Come on. It's easy. You think you woke, you just had stuff that you've been hearing. This is pages that can really
I got my page and YouTube. Walk on stage. That's it. Go back to my mind. You're great. Give me some in a minute. Appreciate y'all coming on, stated everything.
Take his name.
He said,
Yeah.
Okay. I just have a what are you looking for? You must have talked about it. I knew you out. You made the queen go. Yeah. Oh, St. Paul's bookstore.
Okay. It's coming up in fall. We got it now outlined the program all together. But you don't have, you're gonna have it straw, but I'm straw, and then so. Into your family. Say when we sit and talk.
Yes.
We all do. Well, our kind of bars. You got 15 brothers and sisters. Their children, their grandchildren, great grandchildren. That you don't go into nobody. And I will call this today, not in Marvel.
Oh, yeah. Steve, he did, what's gonna happen? He did up there.
You grab that one.
No.
Yes, so you can use it.
They give it all the billionaires. All the billionaires must go.
Come here. No, I'm gonna get a copy of it. You come on this side over here.
You want me to sit here?
Yes, sir.
That's what I'm sitting in front of the camera. I'm glad you're gonna get this because I'm holding this.
Yes. Today, y'all, today. If you missed it, you got the great. If you missed it, the great information he gave us today, y'all. You should have been here. Dr. Dr. Bruce. Y'all see him, right? Y'all see him, right? Y'all see him? There he is.
I'm the author of this book, Recapturing the African Mind. And for those who are tuned in, if you'd like to get a copy, I'm going to, a brother of mine, give my phone number, 919-641-0288. And this book deals with an examination of the mental destruction of Africans in America and throughout the world caused by Eurocentric religion and Eurocentric education. And those who might want to get a copy, you can. And today, I've just spoken at the Holla Community Center in Marvin, North Carolina, and we had a real good time. Our topic was African people and European holidays and their effects on the minds of Black people the world over.
Amen. Y'all heard it first. You heard it first. My first time hearing him speaking. It was a great speaking.
Thank you,
Mr.
brother.
Bruce. We appreciate it. I will be coming back again, and we will be live again.
Oh, good, please.
And
Anytime you need me, we can do it like on Zoom, or if you need me to come down, we can do that, or meet halfway or whatever, because I love giving the knowledge. And our people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. We have to have knowledge, because there's no reason, as I say on the back of my book, on the Isle of Jamaica, Black people are singing chestnuts roasting on the open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose, and I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. It's because we are the victims of mind devastation in the world.
Amen.
Thank you very much for having me, brother.
Appreciate that. Y'all know my boy right there, Neil. He popping in and out, moving stuff around. We together. Mr. Bruce, Dr. Bruce, we appreciate it again, once again.
Okay.
Make sure I get all your information before you go.
Oh, yeah.
So
I'm putting in my book when you get your book.
Yeah, because we do be live. Me and my son be live. And
I can be on your program.
Yeah. Bring you on the program.
Please,
and,
yeah.
Of course, I'm gonna be there.
and you know he gonna be there. So yeah.
And he said he's heard it before. I hope you got something different out of it today. Okay.
So everybody, we appreciate y'all. I'm not gonna hold you long.
Oh, no problem, brother.
Got travel back. And before you go, I get all your information, and so I can get my book and get it autographed.
Okay.
Y'all heard that, right?
Power to the people, brothers and sisters.
So y'all heard it. We getting to get up out of here. Thank y'all for just joining us today, and we appreciate everything that you was here with us, and y'all heard it. Great information. I'm gonna go old school on Bruce. If you missed it, rewind the tape.
Power to the people.
But if you miss it, just rewind it and go back and take care of everything and listen to it. It's got a case on it. It's all right. It's got a case on it. It's good. And just rewind everything and just from the beginning, share it with your friends and family that we are here, and knowledge is power. And we thank each and every one of you all. We'll be out of here. Don't forget, tomorrow we will be back on tomorrow. My son should be back on tomorrow too. He's talking about being overwhelmed. Then nothing happened. I will be on after him at 6 o'clock. He come on at 4:30. I come on at 6. I'll be on 6 with a single Black father. We have a special guest that's coming on. He's a single Black father raising 3 beautiful young ladies. And we thank you all. And we getting ready to get up out of here. Peace.